Hello, Mike from Slough. What have you got for me?
Oh, I'm absolutely livid. Brian and all the UK column listeners. Food. We're absolutely getting our pants pulled down when it comes to prices for no real reason. Couple of things.
Just let me come in. You have, over the last couple of years, you've really been paying attention to health and food.
Well, yeah, I mean, a few years ago, I sort of reconcocted my diet and cut out anything with seed oils in. In other words, processed foods. And there's lots of things that you think are healthy that have got seed oils, rapeseed oil, palm oils, all these types of things, vegetable oils. They're all anyone can go on YouTube and I won't bore people with them, but anyone can go on YouTube and the way these are made, like industrial type food productions, they're all inflammatory to the body. They're not good for you. So basically, I re-engineered the diet, kept away from wherever possible anything with seed oils in, any processed foods, which, you know, everyone knows that the more processes a food goes through, the kind of worse it is for you. Even the BBC have done programmes on this. It's not really up for debate anymore. So I'm basically trying to go back to basics of what my mum used to cook me.
Right.
When we were all thin.
Yeah.
I looked at all of my old school photos when our good old mums used to do the cooking back in the 60s and 70s, and we were all stick thin because we basically had real butter, real meat, a little bit of veg, but everything was meat and two veg. You know, it was like, it's boring, but that's what we used to eat. And my mum used to go down to the butcher shop, a couple of times a week. We had stews, weren't that very well off, but meat was very, very affordable in those days. I mean, it was just the norm.
Yeah.
And we were all a lot healthier for it. You just dig out your old school photos and you'll see there's the evidence. Nobody was overweight. We weren't doing serious amounts of exercise. We were just doing small amounts of it. I mean, most of us used to skive when we used to do the cross country on like Hyde. I mean, so we weren't 15-year-old kids. We were just eating normal foods.
Yeah. So what food have you been looking at recently?
Well, a couple of things. Now they've got these, what I've noticed, and I've read some reports, what I've noticed recently, 2 reports that are going around by a think tank, and it was covered by the Times, Telegraph, all the people, that these people on these suppressants, these American drugs where, they're all losing weight now because basically their appetite's being suppressed, and there's a stack of other side effects that go with it. I won't name the brands, but everyone knows who the brands are. And in fact, there was a similar type of brand that maybe a couple of years ago that was pulled from the market in America because they had so many suicides. But moving it back to today, so these appetite suppressants that everyone's on now, they're losing tons of weight. And we all know their muscles are wasting away as well. But what it's also doing is, because they're eating smaller, being advised to eat better as well, they're basically eating, going back to nutrient-dense foods, which, meat, steaks, eggs, all these sorts of things that I'm eating now, and lots of other people are, and we're bigger better for it. And the prices are going to be yacked up there. But also, basics like sardine. I know people are going to laugh, but I like sardines. They're a superfood. Sardines in water or olive oil, not the awful ones in all the sauces. They've got all the rapeseed oils and the seed oils. And I bought quite a few tins back in October, November from a well-known store at 65p, and I've just gone back in there and they've gone up to £1.
Yeah, that's a massive increase.
Now, the ones in the olive oil went up to £1 a while ago, and I can understand why, because olive oil in June has gone up. But, I mean, this is just pure exploitation. And people on low incomes, and there's a lot of them, and I know a lot of people, and I've been advising a lot of people to get, eat more nutrient-dense foods, and you can't get much more basic than sardines. And I think a lot of these shops have cottoned onto it. See, there's a lot of influencers have been going on for a couple of years now about low-carb diets, superfoods like eggs. If you can afford organic, not everyone can, but they're the better ones. Grass-fed beef, this, that and the other, which a few years ago was affordable. People did. And now people are being rinsed, the prices, all these healthy foods. And it's very, very difficult now. People with the cost of living crisis and everything, the foods are going up and up. And I'm just so fed up with it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and of course, British farmers are being hit left, right, and centre. So the amount of produce from British farms, homegrown, is dropping.
Yeah, well, 6,300 went closed. Right now, there'll be a few of those that are probably going to go anyway. But 6,300 over that, plus the awful suicides that took place over the stress, and there's no getting out of that one. That decision to hammer the farmers was a result of these people taking their lives, and our thoughts go out to all their families on that.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. There were obviously every year a few farms that go under, but you see now, I mean, some farmers can make more money just doing YouTube channels and putting solar panels on the land.
Yes.
I'm trying to pick up local papers, and every few weeks, local groups are complaining about solar farms on farmland that should be feeding us. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm just fed up with it, because there's a lot of people on low incomes who are looking to eat healthily now, Brian. And, and I know myself and lots of other people, we're looking to eat healthier, get back to basics, just with eggs and, a little bit of meat, decent fish. And we're just being clobbered all the time, mate, all the time. And nobody seems to care.
Well, for me, it's always been deliberately, for me, it has always been a deliberate policy to destroy the health of the nation by junk food. I think it's not just corporate greed, of course, is a huge part of it, but the fact it's tolerated and, well, indeed encouraged by the government says that their objective is to destroy the health of the nation. They know what they're doing.
If you think what sugar does to your teeth, and I've got fillings to demonstrate it, imagine what it does to your liver and your organs over years. If it rots your teeth away, it does to your liver and your organs over years. If it rots your teeth away,
yes. Well,
imagine what it does to your organs.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the hazards of our generation that, as youngsters and in particular,
the government is, it doesn't seem to be right. And this is the previous government as well. They were doing rewilding and shutting the farms down as well. But the ministers don't want to keep people out of hospital.
Well, no.
And America's caught on, because on their food pyramid now, it's totally reversed. And they've got like meat and eggs and things like that at the top of their food pyramid.
Yes.
Whereas we seem to be, lagging behind. But we've got the means over here to produce healthy food for everyone. And they just seem to be wanting to shut everything down.
Yeah, and I think this is deliberate. I'm sure it is
Oh no,
deliberate.
no, yeah, it's definitely deliberate. I mean, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. So
Death by 1,000 cuts.
so Mike, if we end on a positive note, what's your recommendation for people listening in if they're not yet thinking about their diet? What would you encourage them to do?
Well, go back to avocados are still reasonably cheap. That's a good one, and not only that, it fills you up. The thing is that if you eat healthy fats, you don't get so hungry. So you're not really looking for that next fix in between meals. So try not to eat between meals. One, if you can do a little bit of fasting, good. Best way to do it is obviously have meals earlier at night, 5, 6 o'clock, and then when you wake up 7, 8 or 6, 7, 8, you've already done 12, 13, 14 hours fast already. And you're burning, you want to get into a state where you're not burning sugar all the time. You want to be burning a little bit of fat. So back to what our mums and dads used to eat, good old proper butter, not the fake seed oil type, looks like butter, the good old fashioned butter. Cooking with a little bit of that, with the proper olive oils, duck fat, those types of things.
Yes.
Just basically look at what we used to eat as kids. A little bit more meat and less of the carbohydrated sort of mush, and the least ingredients, the better.
Yeah, that's really good. And of course, there are some really excellent and well-informed videos about this, and so people should do their own research first. But yes, what you're talking about, certainly the UK column team is into this now, and I can say that over the last year, it's made quite a difference to several of us. So it's great.
As the evidence, anyone of our age, the old codgers, Brian, I know you're not that old, you're only about 48, but people like myself who are sort of 60, just look at, I say to people, look, if you can, look at your old school photos or of your relatives going back to when you were young, 10s, back in the 70s, and you will find hardly anyone who was generally overweight. And they weren't sort of fitness fanatics. It's what we ate. We didn't have all these foods that were microwave with all these extra additives in. And it's the food that's killing us.
Yeah. Well, a little example I can give the audience for my amusement. I've been looking at the American series Streets of San Francisco. They're really fun to watch, I think so, because of the style, the dress, technology around them. But one of the things that you see every time there's a big group of people on the streets, when they're filming, people are clustered round and they sort of include them in the shots. What you say, people are thin. Oh, it's not, the majority. It's the vast majority of them, and some of them are really thin. You look at them and you think, wow, that person's really thin. So yeah, and that series was back in, I think, 1970 or 1973, that sort of period. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but see, we've got in our minds that when we get up in the morning, I've seen so many people having orange juice. That's probably got to be the worst thing you can have. It's just, you might as well just eat a cup of sugar. It's just sugar.
Yeah.
But we've been indoctrinated all these years that having a glass of orange juice in the morning is healthy for you. It isn't. I mean, if people want to drink orange juice, then fair enough. But it's probably one of the worst things you can have in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to get back to how we work, the simple life.
Yes.
You don't need to. People think if you've got to lose weight, you're not going to necessarily lose weight by going on a 10-mile run every day. I mean, people who are getting older, like myself, who've got bad knees from sport in the past, we can't do a 10. You've got to start back to basics and then maybe do the fitness and everything else. People think, I can't lose weight, I can't go on a 10-mile run or a 10-mile walk or get on or you don't need to join a gym. Right? Yeah, if you can, that's fine. It's good for you walking and all these things. But you've got to get back to basis. You will not be able to run yourself thin. All these people who are thin and do running, they prepare their diets as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting back. It's very, very simple. Think about what you used to eat. Find articles about what people used to eat in the 60s. You'll see the menus, right? On Instagram, places like that. And you'll see like what people used to eat then was a lot more healthier than what it is now. And we're supposed to be progressive now, and we're supposed to know more about things, and there's been more research. But we've kind of been veered away from it. It's as if people don't want us to be healthy and live longer, happier lives.
Yeah, but what you're talking about is simple steps where people can make a difference to their bodies and therefore their lives. So this is an easy.
Generally, if you eat healthy and watch, and you've got to look at cheap meat like chicken livers. Chicken livers is quite cheap. Now, not everyone's cup of tea, but if you go onto the internet and see the nutrients, they're probably one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can buy. Sauerkraut has got more vitamin C in it than anything else, but not the sauerkraut that you can buy in a jar in Tesco's. Do your own sauerkraut, but the more organic stuff, not the stuff in a jar that's been pasteurized. All the goodness has been blown out of it. You can make your own sauerkraut at home quite cheaply, and that's got more vitamin C. It's better for the gut. It's all about your gut. You sort your gut out, and everything else falls in line after that, Brian. But anyway,
Yeah, brilliant, Mike. That's excellent. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, Brian.